Amateur radio news and notes for Friday, October 31st, 2025. Happy Halloween. I'm Ed Kabik, November 2, Echo Charlie. In the log this week, we'll be talking about a contest spotlight on the ARRL Sweepstakes on CW that's happening this weekend. We'll also give a recap for a recent MVARC POTA activation last weekend, talk about some MVARC Nets on the air, see what's happening with DX, get a solar activity update, talk about some upcoming contests, and as always, talk about some interesting online radio content. This weekend brings one of the oldest and most unique contests on the air, the ARRL Sweepstakes on CW. The contest starts at 2100 UTC, so that's 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Saturday, November 1st, and runs through 2:59 UTC on Monday, or 9:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday night. Note the change from Eastern Daylight Time to Eastern Standard Time this weekend. The objective of November Sweepstakes is to encourage, quote, self-training in radio communications, with really a focus on message passing. To that end, Sweepstakes has one of the most involved contest exchanges on the air. The exchange includes a serial number starting with 1, a precedence, your call sign, your ARRL or RAC section, if you're in Canada, and a check consisting of the last 2 digits of the year the operator was first licensed. Those precedence values include Q for single operator QRP, A for single operator low power, which is 5 to 100 watts, B for single operator high power, where you're above 100 watts, U for any single operator unlimited power category, M for multi-operator stations, and S for school clubs. So, as an example, for me, my exchange for a one-person 100-watt station for my 25th contact would be 25 Alpha, November 2 Echo Charlie, 90 Victor Alpha. As you can imagine, this really ups the challenge, especially on CW, and acts as more of a simulation of an actual emergency message passing operation than your average contest. Stations in the sweepstakes can work no more than 24 of the 30 hours. If you work more than that time, only the first 24 hours of QSOs will be counted. Any off time needs to be at least 30 consecutive minutes without operating. And by the way, listening counts as operating in the rules. Logs need to be submitted within 7 days after the event is over and can be sent electronically in Cabrio format, which is the preferred method, or via mail. Certificates for top operators will be issued for each ARRL or RAC section and division, and all overall and division winners will get a plaque. Participation pins and coffee mugs are also available for purchase. This is a great test of your mettle and your operating skills, so give it a go this weekend if you want to have some fun. Rules and more information can be found at arrl.org/sweepstakes. Good luck. Last Saturday, the Mount Vernon Amateur Radio Club had another successful activation for Parks on the Air. We had a nice turnout at Belle Haven Park and ended up with 70 QSOs in the log and a very sociable outing. Operators included Joseph, WB9KMJ, Ed, KJ4WJC, and Ed, November 2 Echo Charlie, of the third person. Since the CQ Worldwide Single Sideband Contest was in full effect this weekend, we decided to operate on the 17-meter band, and conditions were quite good. We ran at 100 watts using a Yaesu FT897 into an N2EC VersaHex antenna, working single sideband and CW. We worked all over the United States and Canada, as well as Germany, Austria, Norway, Scotland, Poland, France, and England, with great signal reports all around. The weather held up for us, and we had a beautiful morning down by the Potomac River. We were concerned that the park might have been closed due to the government shutdown, but while other park areas were closed along the George Washington Memorial Parkway, Belle Haven was open. Thanks to everyone who joined us on Saturday, both in person and on the air, and we hope to see you at our next activation. And now let's take a look at some MVARC Nets on the air. We have our 2-meter FM net every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the repeater. That's immediately followed by the 2-meter digital net on Yaesu System Fusion C4 FM. And then on the weekends, we have the MVARC Slow Speed CW Roundtable on 3.565 megahertz on CW Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 a.m. That's followed by the MVARC Cherry Tree Net, also Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 a.m. at 3.920 megahertz lower sideband, where we always have a vibrant conversation, and you're always welcome to join us. And now let's take a look at what is happening with DX. As usual, there will be a good amount of DX on the bands this week. Stations on the air include Madagascar, Sierra Leone, Burundi, St. Vincent and Grenadine, Gabon, Galapagos Islands, Rodriguez Island, Wallis and Futuna Islands, Gambia, Tanzania, Colombia, Cyprus, Ogasawara Islands, Chatham Islands, Marcus Island, Minami-Torishima Islands, Mali, Solomon Islands, and Antarctica. As always, a calendar of DXpeditions can be found at dxnews.com/calendar. And now it's time for a solar activity update. As we go to press, the solar flux index was 120, and the estimated sunspot number was 68, with 5 numbered sunspot regions visible from Earth. Over the last week, the SFI has decreased. Solar activity has been at very low levels recently, and the geomagnetic field was at quiet levels, and the KP index reached 5 yesterday. The solar wind peaked at 677 kilometers per second. Solar activity is predicted to be low, with geomagnetic activity at unsettled to active levels today and at quiet to unsettled levels over the weekend. The chance of solar radiation storms at the S1 or greater level is low at 1% today through Sunday. R1 to R2 radio blackouts are unlikely in the near term, with a predicted probability of 5% today and Saturday and 10% on Sunday. R3 or greater blackouts are unlikely, with a 1% chance today through Sunday. There's a chance of 6-meter propagation, so keep an eye on the band and the spotting clusters to be ready the next time the Magic Band does its thing. It remains a fantastic time for amateurs to get on the air and to work the world. Good sources of real-time solar information include spaceweatherlive.com and solarham.com. A good overview of conditions can be found at dx.qsl.net/propagation. To see D-layer absorption data and associated radio blackouts, visit the NOAA DRAP page. And to see real-time maximum usable frequency, MUF or critical frequency, FOF2 information from RadioSON data, visit prop.kc2g.com. And now let's take a look at some upcoming contests. On the contest calendar this weekend, we see the ARRL Sweepstakes that we highlighted earlier, as well as the YBDXPI FT8 contest, the IPARC contest on CW, the Silent Key Memorial contest, the UK/EIDX contest on single sideband, the IPARC contest on single sideband, the EA Net Sprint, the High Speed Club CW contest, and the Classic Exchange phone contest. As always, the K1USN SSTs, MSTs, and CWTs will also be on the air. The full contest calendar with events and exchanges can be found at contestcalendar.com. And finally, let's wrap things up with some interesting online radio content. Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW, discusses recent solar conditions and her forecast. Forrest, KI7QCF, looks at a 3D printed case to make the QMX compete with a KH1. Michael, KB9VBR, takes a look at the Sentilab Pocket PD USB power supply. Matt M0DQW builds a VLF receiver to listen to natural phenomena. DKO6BTM takes Ormu the cat on a soda adventure. Tim, K50HY, takes a deep dive on doubled antennas and finds a lot to like. Mike, K8MRD, operates remote from PJ2T in Curacao from a living room. Valerie, RA1AOM, shows one of his new paddles at QRQ. He's definitely blazing on this one. Anton discusses solar cycles and recent discoveries. Steve, KM9G, tests carbon fiber whips as antennas. Jeff, KF0MYB, and Joe, KF0MYJ, talk about lighting on antenna towers. Matt, M0DQW, revives an old satellite setup for QO100. Callum, M0MCX, talks about numbers in the NATO phonetic alphabet. Kevin, KB9RLW, shows us the new FNIRSI LCR meter. Craig, KM6LYW, announces the release of the DigiPi 2.0. Mike, K8MRD, looks at the latest features in WSJTX version 3. Nanofix goes over some basics of oscilloscopes. And Callum, M0MCX, shows how to get started with N1MM for contest logging. Well, that is it for this week. I've been Ed, November 2 Echo Charlie. Thanks, as always, for joining us. We're glad you're here. We hope that you have a great week ahead. best 73, and we look forward to seeing you next week.